My name is Sharon Ray, and I'm from Oregon, which is in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. I moved here about 10 months ago and made the final move in December. Well, I vacationed here for over 20 years, not every year, but every few years. And then I went to a couple other countries and checked them out, and there was nowhere like Zihuatanejo. I love the people, the friendliness, the pace, everything. So when I retired, I came here. I I like the people, both expats and the locals. They're very friendly, very helpful. Even if my Spanish isn't very good, if I'm trying, they try, and we laugh a lot and get it figured out. So that's a big one. The weather is, I like it. It's more sunny than not, and I just jive with it. The town itself is very walkable. I can walk from the beach to the mountains, which is like the two ends of Zihuatanejo, and then from one side to another, it might be 3 or 4 miles. And so it's healthy for me, and a lot of people are walking, so you see people. There are quite a few expats here, especially during peak season, and everybody's gets together to play cards, to have dinner, to play pickleball. It's a big thing here right now. I belong to a book club. I belong to a ladies' luncheon club. I go hiking with people that I've met at those occasions. What I don't like, and I think most expats don't like, would be that the utilities can be a little bit off and on more than what we're used to. And there's no notice. They don't, you just fig it's not working, so you do something else. Give it a little bit of time, try it again. And the TV doesn't work, I go for a walk or I read a book. Don't get uptight about it because it's not going to change anything. They're working on it and it'll get fixed when it gets fixed. And the way you know is because you turn the TV on and it works. You don't get any broadcast announcement or anything like we get at home. The weather does get really hot in the summer, and some people don't like to sweat, and you definitely will sweat in the summer. The people get frustrated sometimes because they don't realize that English is not a primary language here, and they really do need Spanish, and that is something that everybody should be aware of when they come here. It's not like Puerto Vallarta or a lot of places which there's a lot of English spoken. Anytime you get maybe 2 to 4 blocks off the tourist areas, you're primarily Spanish. And so to get that under your belt before you come is a really, really helpful thing. Yeah, I feel perfectly safe. Things are lighted really well. I've never had anybody say anything even slightly inappropriate or intimidating in any way. They're very, very willing to help if they think you are in distress, but they, don't put you under any kind of pressure. There are a lot of women here, single women living alone in Zihuatanejo. We all know each other pretty quickly, especially the ones that are here permanently. And we check in with each other. So just because it's nice to check in with someone, but day in and day out, I go and do what I want to do with no concerns whatsoever. I go out in the evenings, but I usually try to be home before 9 o'clock, just because, especially downtown, that's when the more drinking is going on, more activity, and I prefer to be quieter, I guess. There is a lot of nightlife, and town doesn't shut down early. I do. There's tourist police here, which I was surprised to find out that their job is to go around, and if a tourist is needing help, they're there. If they have any indication, maybe the tourist is distressed, somebody's bothering them, they'll come up and address the situation and straighten out any misunderstanding that might be going on or whatever, which is really, really great because usually problems are misunderstandings. I live in a residential area, which is about a 10-minute walk away from Centro and the beaches. So it is quiet, tranquil is what a lot of people say about it, because it's called the Colonia del Maestros, which is the colony of teachers. And so most of the people that live here were teachers and have retired. And when they do that and they work for the government for a certain amount of time, I don't know the real details to it, but they get a lot of land in this section of town. And the government helps them get a favorable loan to build a house. So everybody owns their homes here. They're friendly. I don't know Spanish very well, but I say hi to the ladies when I pass them on the street. They say hi back, and we've exchanged names and things like that. And it's working because I got invited to go in and have hot chocolate and the special bread that they have on the Night of Three Kings. And so I feel like I'm starting to be accepted in the community and part of the friend network, I guess. they they have parties, but they're not long lasting. They just are regular people. It's regular families, and I like that. I chose this area because I love this apartment. I've stayed in several different places right at first, and that's what I'd recommend for anybody is the area you think you might want to live, rent an apartment there for a little while and see, because sometimes you find out that it's really noisy or there's a lot of noise, could be music or the chickens crowing or something like that. And it's better to know ahead of time. But I love it here because of this apartment. I love the yellow walls. I love the quietness, the neighborhood feel. The other places that are closer to town tend to be more expensive, and I can do a 10-minute walk for the less expense in rent, and it's just more open. There's trees here. Downtown is cement, and because of the cement, it can be 5 degrees hotter because you're downtown. I'm kind of up on a hill, so the breeze is great. And those are the kind of things you learn if you rent in different areas, and you can find out what's important to you and how comfortable you are in different situations. Okay, when anyone rents, I think here, everything's included, except some places you have to pay the electricity, and that is because of the air conditioning. The air conditioning sucks a lot of energy, and landlords can't tell how much a renter is going to use. So sometimes they break that out. Mine here is all inclusive, includes my electricity, my tap water, Netflix. I have a TV in both bedrooms, so I mean both rooms. So it's really entertainment. If I want to lay down and watch a movie, or if I want to sit in the living room, I can. I do pay for the water, and they come in the great big, I think they call them griffons. They're like 5 gallons, maybe more. It seems like more, but it's 25 pesos per container. And when you buy the little bottles of water down at the convenience stores, it's $25, 25 pesos for that little thing of water. So the water costs are really minimal. For groceries, that's a real personal thing. I don't cook. It's hot. I just am not a cook anyway, so I buy things like granola, yogurt, fruit, a lot of fruit. I make smoothies, protein drinks, things like that. And I find that a lot of the people here do that. And then usually go out to lunch, and that's my big meal of the day. And then I will come home and have popcorn for dinner or snack on leftovers, whatever. So I don't spend a whole lot at the grocery store. Maybe the equivalent of $350 American. It's not so outrageous. That includes paper goods, everything, not just food. and cleaners, all this stuff of having a home. Medical bills are incredibly low. Social Security, Medicare does not pay anything in Mexico, nothing. So anything medical is out of pocket for me. But to go to the doctor for a head cold or a rash or any of those simple things, twisted ankle, is about $10 for the visit in American. They have doctors right adjacent to the pharmacy, and you go in without an appointment and you wait, but if there's nobody there, you go right in. They check you out and then give you your medication. You walk right next door to the pharmacy, and the doctor's office visit is like $10. The prescriptions are usually under 20. I did go into a specialist and highly recommended one, and my doctor's appointment was $100 American, and I had to go get blood tests, and it was $350 American. That is incredibly cheap. The doctor's visit would have been $200 to $300, and the tests would have been thousands. So that's the difference. You can afford to live without insurance here because you can usually pay out of pocket. My condition had to do with my blood pressure, and actually it was funny because I took blood pressure medication when I was in the States, and I have walked and eat healthy, and I suddenly started getting really tired and was concerned. So I went to a doctor, and I didn't know if I was anemic or if I had something wrong with me, and so he sent me to get the blood work. That turned out to be that I didn't need high blood pressure medicine anymore, and that I was taking the high blood pressure medicine and it was making it too low. So that ended up being pretty simple. If you have heart conditions, lung conditions, really serious, a serious accident where you're really hurt, I think they send you to Morelia or Guadalajara. That's what I've been told. They have huge hospitals, and here we have 3 hospitals. There's two government-run ones and one private hospital, which you can have a subscription to, and you can go there. There's a lot of other little private ones that doctors own, and there'll be 3 or 4 rooms, and if you need to stay. A friend of mine got an infection, and she had to stay in his private hospital for 3 nights, and they gave her antibiotics, and she got over it. So there's a lot of options. It depends on the degree. It really does. For me, I don't have any real health issues, so I feel like I can have anything I need done here. For the transportation, there's a lot of options. There are taxis, there's combis, and there's private cars. You can own your own car, or you can rent someone's services to take you around where you want to go if you don't want to take a public taxi. The taxis are the most expensive. I ride the combis, which are like little mini public transportation buses, usually holding 12 to 13 people. The taxis, it's a private car, usually about 4 people is the max they can take. And so the way it goes is a taxi costs, local here in town would be 40 pesos. To go from Soriano's, the grocery store, which we'll see later, is to my apartment is 70 pesos. To go from anywhere downtown Zihuatanejo to La Ropa is 100 pesos each way. So you get a feeling for the change. The combis are 12 pesos for in town. To go to La Ropa, it's 13 pesos. To go to Expat, it's 17 pesos. And to go to Playa Linda, which is the big beach outside of Expat, where you go to the island of Expat, is 20 pesos each way. But I think you can see the difference. To the airport, that's changed a bit. It used to be you came out of the airport and there were a bunch of taxi drivers there, and they wanted to vie for your attention. And now they have a booth there, and you go in and you tell them what kind of transportation you want, if you want a shared one or a private taxi, and they tell you how much it'll be. They collect the money, they give you a slip. Then you walk out the door, and there's like a manager there, and he sees where you're going, and he matches you up with a taxi driver. So the prices can be based on where you're going. Grocery stores are really important for the things that you can't get on the street. I don't go to Soriano's very often, or Chedraui, which is the new one that just opened this summer. They have things you can't get elsewhere sometimes, but mostly I buy from the street vendors or the small stores here local. The quality of the fruit and the vegetables, they're fresh. They've really come in from the fields fresh, and everything is very high quality. It's fun to go buy them from individual people, fruits, vegetables especially, but you can get, all your drinks, paper goods, and stuff like that. If I can get away with not going to Soriano's or the big ones, I do. There's Sam's Clubs here also, which, like if you're going to buy almond milk and you want to buy a case of it, that's the place to go. You also plan on taking a cab home, because if you buy things in quantity, you're not carrying it. I don't personally have medical insurance because I have enough money in savings that I could cover pretty much anything that were to happen. You do have to pay right away when you go into a doctor's office or their hospital, and I have credit cards for that. So I can cover that way, and then I can take care of it out of my savings. The thing that I love about the Mexican culture is that it's so family-centered. They really care about their kids. They are all over the place with their families. On Sunday nights, everybody comes out and comes to the cultural events that are available. You see them at the beaches together. You see them shopping together. The whole family comes shopping when they go grocery shopping, and that's interesting and fun. It's just a wonderful vibe. Family, they care about people. When you get on the combis, everybody says buenos dias or buenas tardes. It's not, you're not invisible. You don't feel like, unless you know somebody, they're not going to acknowledge your presence. They're very polite and caring, I guess is the best way to say it. When I first came to Zihuatanejo, I knew it was important to make connections. So I kind of had some ideas. I knew that I wanted to get connected with a charity organization that I had interest in, and that would be animals. I'm a dog lover, and so I went down and found out what I could do to volunteer to help, and that was to walk the dogs. It's simple and easy. They live in a compound, and so to be out in the air and stuff like that, they need somebody to walk them. So several of us walk the dogs. From there, I met a lady that likes to play games on the beaches, and she invited me to join their group. And so I started playing Rummy Cube and met a few more ladies, and they invited me to the ladies' luncheon, which meets every Thursday. And in the off season, about 12 women come together every Thursday and go to a different restaurant. Each week, a different lady chooses the restaurant, and we all go there and get to experience the local restaurants all over Zihuatanejo. There's lots of different neighborhoods, and so that has been my most valuable connection. From going to these luncheons and talking to other women, I find people that have the same interests I do, like snorkeling and hiking and crafting. And so I've made friends outside of that. And at that meeting, we usually make plans for, Wednesday, how does it work? Do you guys want to go snorkeling? Or there's going to be a hike Saturday night. And a lot of hiking is done in the evening because it's so hot during the day here. And that's how I started getting connected. And now it's been 10 months, and I can say I probably know 15, 20 women. I have 3 really close friends that I see almost every day. We kind of check in on each other at night, is everybody in, home, tucked in, and we respond. That is probably the best connection process that I've ever done. But it was made with intention. If I had come, rented an apartment, sat in my apartment, went to restaurants alone, ate alone, I would still be alone. But I knew that that's what I needed to do. So didn't take long. I've got good friends, people that lived here a long time, some of them that have just moved here. My best friend from my neighborhood in Oregon moved down a month ago, so she's here, and that's, it's rich. It's a good life. I'm very, very fortunate. Probably the very most important thing I wish I had known before I moved down here was to only bring cotton clothes. Polyester makes you sweat, and you don't need anything to promote that. It comes on its own. So really, I was down here for a while, and if you're anything other than like a medium-sized woman, you need to bring your own clothes, because large here is difficult to find. You can find it, but not in the cute ones, not the ones you want to buy. So when I went back home, I got shorts and things like that fit me. Another thing is I wish I had have known how important Spanish would be, and you've heard me mention that a couple times, but it really, really is. It makes it much nicer if you can speak rather fluently. Another thing that I think is important to realize is that it is a totally different culture. If you come here expecting it to be like back home, be that the United States or Canada or wherever, I think it leads to a lot of frustration. There's a lot of beautiful things about here, but it's not like home. And I think people that come with that expectation, they are unhappy relatively quickly, because it is very quickly you realize it's a different way of things. The other thing is what I did do, and I'm glad I heard it ahead of time, is that you need to go to an area that you think you want to move to and live in the worst time of their year. And here, that is summer. It is hot, and it is muggy, and it is unrelenting. And at nighttime, the temperature might not go down. Some people can't live with that. I found I could. It's not any worse than Austin, Texas, or Florida. It's just whether or not you can handle it. The air conditioning, there is air conditioning, but if everybody ran the air conditioning 24/7 down here, the electrical grid would go down. It just can't handle that. So most landlords will ask you only to use it in the evening before you go to bed. Be very choosy about when you use it. There's no turning it on and leaving it on all day, because it's cheaper to run it and keep the house cool than to turn it on and off. That's a very, very common thought in the area I come from, and it's not the case here. So that's something I think is important to know. I guess that's about it. Clothes sizes, how you stay cool is fans. Don't be active when it's really hot. Plan your day so you do things in the cooler part in the early morning or the evening. And it is safe to be out in the evening. Take a taxi if you have any doubts. Ride a combi anytime. Always ask the combi driver if he's going to where you want to go, because what's on the combi might not really cover all the details. So I will say Sam's Club and they will say yes or no. And so I make sure I go where I really want to be going. But a lot of my mistakes, I've learned more about where they go in different areas. So there's always good. Sometimes it takes me longer to get somewhere than I planned, but those are the things I can think of that are helpful, that I wish I had known. It would make my life a little bit better. But definitely get out there and try the combis, try the fondas, which are the little cafeterias. Go through the mercado, buy from the stores along the streets. It's all part of the joy of living here. Well, I hope this video has helped and that you'll feel more comfortable coming to visit and checking it out. My name is Sharon, and see ya.